So let me turn to the US just to explain the US situation quickly for you. Uh, there's one basic explanation for everything happening in the US, and that is Trump. We have the worst president in American history. He is a narcissist and a psychopath, I'm sorry to say. And we are suffering multiple deep crises because of this. No matter how deep the crisis so far, he maintains his base of support of roughly 40% of the population. It's uncanny. We now have nearly 20% unemployment. We have 100,000 people dead. We now have fires burning in dozens of cities around the country because of violent protests against the police, brutality towards African Americans. We have everything going on in the US, and the country remains totally divided, roughly 42% in today's weighted approval rating versus 53% against. I don't understand it exactly, I have to tell you, because to my mind, we've never had worse leadership in the history of our country. But this is what we have. What Trump did with the epidemic was precisely, not precisely nothing, almost nothing. At the end of January, when cases were circulating, we did not have testing yet. Our Centers for Disease Control made faulty test kits, which it sent around the country, which didn't work. But no other test kits replaced them until March. We didn't have protective equipment. And the head of our Centers for Disease Control, who was an incompetent person appointed by an incompetent president, declared as late as early March, this is not dangerous for the American people. They did not understand how much virus was transmitting. They didn't understand how little they were measuring. They did not understand the geometric progression of an uncontrolled outbreak. And until today, literally until today, and I can hardly explain it, we still don't have a public health regimen in the United States to test, isolate, and trace contacts. And much of the country is in rebellion against the idea of face masks and physical spacing. And we have a ridiculous debate in the United States that says, don't shut down the economy. We need the economy. And so if people die, they're just going to die. But with the fallacy of the false alternative, not understanding that public health measures are the right way to proceed. And that's how you can lift an economic shutdown, by having something to replace it. And so we've had a debate of economy versus shutdown for 2 months now, with almost not a word at the federal level about public health measures, about quarantining, about identifying and isolating infectious individuals. And the president has repeatedly refused to advocate wearing face masks in public. So we have a very unruly public. We have a very unruly president, a very mentally unstable man. And the result is now 106,000 deaths and continued transmission of the disease. And in recent days, after the murder of an African American by a policeman in Minneapolis, we have large-scale demonstrations and some violent rioting in American cities. And these will be super spreader events where we're going to see huge jumps of infection rates because of the mass crowds that have been out on the streets in recent days. We also are lifting the shutdowns at this stage also in many states. And all of it is to say the epidemic is not at all under control in the US.